Our speaker for this first session and our last day will be talking about rising to that challenge by using technology to build community in the new normal. Our speaker is a half Filipina and a half Arab educator at Manhattan International High School in New York. She teaches social studies and English as a second language to the 10th and 11th grade students. She previously worked with the International Rescue Committee IRC and has also worked closely with National Geographic Education through a fellowship. She obtained her master's in teaching English to speakers of other languages from Teachers College Columbia University and is currently enrolled in EDM or that's doctorate program in international education and development with a concentration in languages, literacies, and cultures at Teachers College Columbia University as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Teacher Kholood Qumei.
You got it, Qumei. You got
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining today. I'm just so proud and happy to be here with everyone today. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Welcome to this session. And again, the name of the session is Rise to the Challenge, Using Technology to Build Community in the New Normal, which is our new way of teaching. Don't know for how long, but let's see and let's make the most of what we can. So I want to share with you a little bit about my classroom community. So this is my classroom. I love being there. I love seeing that one student, bottom right, raise his hand, talking to the students, sharing with them. Here, a student is actually teaching the class, and you see other students listening, paying attention. And my absolute favorite part of teaching is seeing the students collaborate, right? So as part of the community, they're working together. I see that bag of highlighters. I see students, speaking and engaging with each other on projects. So unfortunately, in March, when coronavirus hit us, we could not return to our classrooms. But I was very fortunate that I could return in May, just for half an hour to collect my things because it had been 2 months and I didn't know when I would come back. And this is what I walked into. So I've never seen my classroom this clean, but it was also a little heartbreaking to see that the physical space of my classroom was empty. And this was the most powerful thing that I saw, was that, actually let me make this full screen from here, was that March 13th, the physical classroom was no more for the time being. So then I realized, well, I have my new classroom. And this is one that we all hopefully share, is online. So I have my Department of Education issued laptop. I have Zoom, I have Google Classroom. And what an exploration this had been, because I thought, okay, I can do this. But then I noticed I got so many apps. If any other educators here have felt this, it's a sense of being overwhelmed, right? We have so many websites, so many tools, so many apps. And the question is, how can we leverage this? How can we use this so effectively to build our community and to build our classroom? So as educators, we're focusing on content instruction, on assessment, on classroom management, language development, social emotional learning, and on and on and on. So we have so many things going on in our brains just constantly. But for me, one thing that more than ever with coronavirus and our new normal, as Balik Turo is having us think about more deeply, is this sense of community. So as a humanities teacher, this is what I wanted to share with you today. With today's challenge, another thing that we have to be cognizant of is how not just to use the tools, but how can we as educators make the mental, emotional, and professional shift from our school community being a physical space to one that is virtual and intangible. So knowing that our community is not just the classroom, but it's the people that make it up. So today I'm going to talk about 2 tech tools that foster community. One is Mentimeter. This is live real-time participation, so this is synchronous. And then I'll also present clips and other alternatives, videos for asynchronous instruction, because some people had mentioned that the internet is not always reliable. And so synchronous instruction, teaching the students in real time, is not always possible. So I'll just talk a little bit about Mentimeter. Mentimeter is actually a Swedish website. I didn't know they were Swedish, but they are, for presentations with real-time feedback. So we're teachers, we're resourceful. There's a basic free package for this. If you want more, you have to pay, but I have never paid for it. You just have to be creative in how you use it. But that's what we are, teachers. We're resourceful, right? So some of the features of Mentimeter, the website, is that you can export your results either as a screenshot or a PDF. You pay more for Excel, but when I want to do that, I end up using Padlet instead. You have free basic access with 2 slides per presentation, and I'll show you what this means in a second. And there's actually, I really appreciate this, a profanity filter in English and 18 other languages, so students hopefully don't say bad words or post that. And there's a variety of question types that you can include. You can also do multiple choice questions, which we'll look at, open-ended, scales, ranking, and questions and answers. And today we're going to look more closely at word cloud, multiple choice, and open-ended. But I will leave you all the resources on Google Classroom. So if we look here, this is what we just did. We just did our Mentimeter word cloud, and this is data visualization. So the more the participants write the same response, the larger the word will be. So some ideas for use is lesson warm-ups with their emotions, with vocabulary, even brainstorming ideas, projects, and topics. And this can really lead to some good discussion. So we as a community come together and talk about it. You'll notice that this is my favorite saying when I do word clouds with the students, is that you're not alone. Sometimes, especially with social distancing, we feel alone because we have to be separated, but actually, as you see the word written grow bigger and bigger, you realize that we're very much connected. So I debrief this with the students and I ask them, what do you notice? What questions do you have? So this is an example of something the students did. We looked at the vocabulary word literacy. This is something you can assign as work and then post the result afterward. The link and the code that is generated for each one is kind of alive. It works for 2 days. So this is something you can circle back to. This is an example of a community writing temperature check that I did. A PBAT is a performance-based assessment task. It's how my school does assessment. And I was very, very happy to see that most of them were positive, but some were scared and some were worried, and that's okay, right? When students saw that, they knew that they were not alone. This was a project brainstorm. I wanted them to try to solve different problems in America, and this is what they came up with. And we saw the word racism come up. You know, you can think of other projects or even essay topics that you might be doing in humanities classes and seeing how students, you know, contribute their thoughts and ideas, even though they're separated, and maybe look at what they have to say. And then this is kind of what, just a check-in. How are you feeling today? Because sometimes I think the most powerful question we can ask ourselves and our students is just, how are you feeling today? And then to genuinely listen. So something I also attached to this question actually was the feeling wheel. And this is from Dr. Gloria Wilcox. So this is a tool that can help students place their feelings. So instead of a student just saying sad, they can look down and they can say, oh, it's actually lonely, or it's hurt. And then there's more words. Or instead of happy, maybe they're proud, they're confident. So this helps students really find their words, and then we as a community together debrief this. This is the multiple choice. This is another way to use the website. Here you create questions and responses, and then students choose the correct one. I like to use the word vote. And then the teachers or the creators have a choice of data visualization for the presentation. So you can do bar graphs, donuts, pie, or dots. And it's live, so this one will auto-populate, and we'll do one together. So just so that you see, this is an example. We had 4 different speeches that the students read in my humanities class, in my social studies class, and then I had them think of which one best connected to the American Declaration of Independence. They voted, and then we were able to have a discussion. So again, this is, even though we're separated and we're apart, this is building community and having students see that we're actually, you know, we can still be a classroom, even though we don't have that physical space. And then this was another example that I really liked. I had a project for the students, and I wanted them to feel like they had ownership, that they had a voice, and I respected their decision. And we did this in real time. It was pretty exciting, and students gave themselves an extension, and I honored that. So this is a quick comprehension check, but also modeling. So if you go again to www.menti.com, it's a quick, let's see who is paying attention. How is Mentimeter's multiple choice presentation different from Google Form? So this was pretty easy. I hope someone gets it wrong because, oh, there we go, good. And this is great because it's anonymous. So let me share with you. Yeah, so it's great that you can see it moving in real time. If you're a humanities teacher and you're doing a lecture on a topic, you can stop, you can pause in the middle, and you can ask this for comprehension. But for community building, you can also do this like I did with extending deadlines, with asking students how they feel, kind of like a word map, but giving them the options. So this is another one, another feature of Mentimeter. It's the open-ended questions. So this is something that you cannot condense into a multiple choice question, or will need more than just a word map, because you want extended answers. So in this example, the question is, how can you improve your writing? But you can even ask students, this is a question I ask them a lot, what can I do as a teacher to help you better? What can I do to be a better teacher? And I value those answers because that's the only way that we can get better, right? With self-reflection and also feedback. So this is similar to Padlet. It's a little different because it auto-populates in real time. Padlet does that, but Padlet is a little more nice for these things because you can put the picture, we saw those, you can put a video. But if you're doing Mentimeter and you want to try this, this is also an option. A question that you might have is, how do you share Mentimeter with your students? So just like I typed in the chat, www.menti.com, as long as they have the code, then they're able to access it. You will also have a unique voting link that you can share with them. You can add on Google Classroom, you can send by email. And if anyone uses QR codes here at the bottom, you can also do that. Just so that you know, there's also an app. I don't know if you can see my phone, but there is Mentimeter. And when you open that, it's solely for voting. So you cannot create Mentimeter quizzes or questions on the app. It's just for students to check in and answer a question. In order to generate the code, what you would do is you just create your slide and it auto generates it for you. And it's different from Kahoot because this one is, let's see, Kahoot is more gamifying. I guess that's the popular buzzword, right? Gamifying, making it into a game. This is maybe less so of a game, and this is more of presentation. And at the very end, you have different options of sharing the results with students, but me personally, I just screenshot and then I copy and paste. So you can download your results here, and it makes it into a PDF or a high resolution screenshot. There is an Excel spreadsheet, but that is an added feature that you would need to pay for. And so this is just a reflection on how it builds community with the real-time participation and visualization, valuing student voices, and in a way, memorializing a moment, making it solidified. Just like I'll show you in a moment, our word web and how powerful that is. For social emotional learning, Mentimeter can really allow for safe check-ins and expressions on a range of feelings, thoughts, and opinions. And the line that I echo a lot, you are not alone. And in terms of language development, you can accompany this with language supports like I did with the feelings chart. Also, I include sometimes adjectives for students, links to readings and vocabulary like I did with literacy, and it's practicing receptive and productive skills for the student. I will tour with you Mentimeter just so that you get a better sense of it, so that I'm not speaking in the abstract. And you can just sign in with a Google account. You just click your presentations. I'm already signed in. And this is what it looks like. So when I go to the word cloud that we had created, this is what I would see. And it's really nice because you can type your question in here. You can type in more than one entry if you'd like. This is the profanity filter that I had mentioned. You can also customize it here. And also these are the different kinds of questions that I had been talking about. With the free version, you're up to 2 slides for free. So this is our first one. And when you add slide, maybe I want to ask a multiple choice question. It will appear here. And what is your favorite food? And then I put in 3 different options, right? Let's say pancit. We'll say chicken adobo. I just had some yesterday. So if everyone goes back to www.menti.com and type in the first code that I gave you. If I type in the code here, we see that it's still the community question. If I switch now to the what is your favorite food question, you'll notice that at the top it says the presenter has changed slide. So that means that it's the next question. So go to slide. So I really love pancit, so I will submit that. And as you're switching between slides, you're actually switching between questions as well. So I hope this kind of answers the Kahoot question as well, where students are interacting less as a game and more as a presentation. I'll continue now. I have about 14 minutes and I'll try to do this next part quickly. The second app that I'd like to share with you is Clips. And so some people may already be familiar with Clip. And so it's Apple's video editing application for iPhones and iPads. And nice features of it is that it auto captions and is very easy and user-friendly and intuitive. Alternative to Android, I usually also use Spark Video, which is also known as Adobe Spark when I think you go to the phone store to buy it. You also have KineMaster, the idea behind presenting this tech tool is less clip and more the idea of video, because when we're doing community building during remote learning, I've noticed that students really have this sensation and this feeling sometimes of isolation, right? So going back to the photos that I had shown you of our physical classroom where we get to see each other, there's really power in videos and in sharing that. I have 4 videos. I don't know if I'll have enough time, but maybe I'll show just a few minutes of each one, like I'll be brief, but the videos can be used for asynchronous instructions. So if you give students the instructions and you're not able to meet with them live, this is an alternative. So I'll show a minute of this.
Today we will be working on some close reading of our imperialism PBAT texts. Earlier this week, we were randomly divided into groups to closely read and present on 6 of our 17 PBAT texts. Yesterday, we were given all 17 of the PBAT texts to read for the main idea and think about which ones we may want to include in our essays. Today, we will look at our texts more closely. We will work together to create an online resource on Padlet to help us with essay writing. Today, we will be spending a lot of time on Padlet.
So this kind of gives you the idea of using clips, but again, alternatives like Adobe Spark, KineMaster. Some teachers have actually even been using TikTok, which is, I don't use TikTok, but I thought that was really interesting and the students liked it to give instructions, so being creative with that. Also with community building is updating students. So even when I travel, I like updating the students and letting them know where I am, how I'm doing. Let's see. So I'll just show this.
Hi, IT students. I made it to Buenos Aires, Argentina, and I'm now heading to Ushuaia. It's me, Miss Kholood, with an update.
Because of time, I'll be brief, but using tools like this to update your students is a really powerful way of community building, of bridging the gap with isolation, especially during these times. I have a nice video that shows, let's see, how to use clips in detail. So I'll probably upload this onto the Google Classroom with all the resources, and it shows you step by step how to use this effectively. And then lastly, this is students' first try at using it for a project. So that was a very brief, I tried to find a short example. So again, this promotes community building within our classroom with storytelling, sharing. Students can collaborate with this by sending each other videos, social emotional learning with safely communicating feelings beyond facts through use of visuals, music, and with language development with a caption feature. And also just having videos is good for the students to be able to fast forward or repeat sections that they need for self-paced learning. So again, bringing this back to the beginning with the challenge of using technologies to foster community, and also for us as teachers to make the mental, emotional, and professional shift from our school community being physical to one that is virtual. We don't have to stop having that community just because we're not in the classroom anymore. You know, as educators, we reach out to our students and we still do that. Now we just have to do it virtually, and we have to be mindful of what tools we can use. So this is some of my own reflection, but I'll post this. Thank you.